All right. Good morning, Facebook friends, YouTube friends. Thanks for joining us. Give me just a moment and we're going to connect everyone and get started in just a minute. Well, my apologies, Facebook and YouTube friends. It looks like for some reason my video of myself is not pushing through, but we're going to go through. You don't need to see me. The slides look like they're popping through just fine. So we will get started. Okay, we should have a light crowd today. This is actually one of the first times I've done my credit repair webinar right before I'm doing another webinar. So, and the other webinar I do is connecting people with the different down payment assistance programs and grants. So I've got one of those coming up on Wednesday if anyone is interested. So I think we're going to have a light audience today. I'd be surprised if we hit 10 people. So, but with that being the case, there should be a lot of availability to answer any questions you have. So please put them in the chat box as we move along. So today I'm going to go over my ways to help boost your credit as quickly as possible. Most of the tools that I'm going to introduce today are going to be designed to give you a quick spike in your credit score. So I tend to tell people it's not too challenging to get a 60 points in 60 days with a lot of these tools. We're going to go over what goes into a mortgage credit report, what are the best practices from a do's and don'ts standpoint, particularly because this is where the don'ts are what get a lot of people tripped up with regards to how to handle collections and things like that. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to just jump right into it. So who is this today designed for? It's designed for people that have credit scores anywhere between 500 to 600. So my goal is to get your scores up above a 580 to connect with different down payment assistance and grant programs. For those of you who don't know, what I ideally like to do is I like to get renters out of that renting rut and cross over to home ownership using different down payment assistance programs and grants. Most of the people that I work with can purchase with just a few $1,000s out of pocket, tapping into these programs. So if you don't have any credit scores, this will work for you as well too. But if you do have credit scores and they're, in that mid to 600s or even 700s, this isn't going to give you a whole heck of a lot of lift. It's good information out there, no question. But it's really designed to help people get out of that those low credit scores. Specifically, if you have credit scores in that 520 or higher range, the practices that I'm going to give you today and tools today are going to get you that quick bounce. Now, if you've also had a recent bankruptcy, I'm going to teach you how to handle that and how you can quickly bounce your credit after that, how to handle repossessions, most importantly, how to handle any collections. I find the collection accounts were what really trip people up. And just anyone that wants to understand how the mortgage world works with regards to credit and how to handle some of those credit hurdles in order to, I guess, manipulate your scores to get into that strike zone where we can get you approved for some of the down payment assistance and grant programs. Now, why do I do this? Well, I find that the rental market is in such disrepair, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers and renters that are kind of stuck, and they just need that nudge and that coaching to get you into that area where you can actually pull the trigger to purchase. I also find that there's a lot of misinformation out there with regards to how to handle different types of credit challenges that surface. And more importantly, a lot of people are overpaying for credit repair, credit counseling, and things like that. So there's a lot of misinformation out there on that front. And as the economy starts to change, I'm finding that credit scores are actually starting to trend down. So I think it's important that you know what tools are at your fingertips. So a lot of people are starting to fall victim to a lot of the credit counseling programs that are out there. And I say victim because they act like their counselor is working in your best interest. And more often than not, you'll find that they are just companies in disguise and more opportunist, just trying to make a quick buck as things change. So when it comes to credit repair companies, I'm very selective with regards to who I might recommend. Most of the time, you can just do a lot of those things yourself, and I'll touch more on that towards the end of our webinar. Now, my goal is to have you in and out in 1 hour. So with that being said, we're going to go right along. Now, on today's webinar, my goal is to get your score up 60 points in 60 days. That's the bare bones minimum that you're going to learn today. I'm going to teach you how to identify areas on your credit report to give you a quick spike, help you add new credit if you need it. And with each one of the tools and things that I'm going to share with you, we're going to set some reasonable and predictable timelines. Okay. Some of these things can happen quickly, 60 days. Sometimes if there's some other baggage, if there's baggage out there, bankruptcies, repossessions, things like that, it could take a little bit longer. And I'll go into that in just a few moments. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is John Collins. I've been teaching people how to purchase homes with down payment assistance programs and grants for approaching 15 years now. Before that, I spent well over 25 years in the mortgage world. That's how I learned to tap into a lot of those different types of programs. I find that the biggest thing that's holding people back from home ownership is credit. Okay, I always tell people the money is actually the easy part. With all of the different down payment assistance programs and grants that are at my fingertips, I know it sounds odd, but money is not a problem. I can usually get people into a house with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket, which is certainly a lot less than what it would take if you wanted to go find something for rent right now. So and the reason I even do this is I have been in that position. So I had a couple of business failures and setbacks about 15 years ago that changed the direction of my life from a guy that was just in sales, just chasing numbers, trying to be that top salesman, and just had this epiphany when everything came crumbling down that there's no one out there really helping people. And once I realized that my true gift was actually helping people tap into the different down payment assistance programs and grants, my life has never been happier. I love what I do. I love giving this educational content for free and teaching people that there is a clear roadmap to get you on the path to home ownership with very little money out of pocket. So, like I said, the biggest hurdle that I run into is the credit. So that's why I do these credit repair webinars. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into it. So first thing I want to do is teach you how to understand the mortgage industry. So first and foremost, there are 3 credit bureaus. There is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Okay. The mortgage world, they use all 3. Now, not all creditors report to all three. So, for example, you might see Ford Motor Credit might only report to two of the three credit bureaus. Capital One may have a credit card. They're only going to probably report to two of the three bureaus. If you use some of the credit building tools or credit cards or secured cards, they report to all three because they're designed to report to all three to build your credit up. Okay, but keep in mind, most credit companies have to pay to furnish your data to the credit bureaus. So keep that in mind. That's who the creditors themselves are, who support the credit industry. Not just because we pay $50 for a credit report. That's peanuts compared to what the big companies pay to have your data furnished to them. So that's who butters the bread of the credit industry. So keep that clearly in mind. But most of the information that I'm going to teach you is how to take advantage of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is put in place to protect the consumers on how your credit data is filed and how accurate it must be. So anyways, with regards to the mortgage world, there are quite a few different scoring models and scoring algorithms. So if you go out to some of the free sites, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Experian, they don't typically use the FICO scoring models, okay? They use different scoring models. They're the free models. When it comes to the mortgage world, that's the only industry that I'm aware of where it's standardized. So in the mortgage world, they are looking for the FICO scoring models 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, keep in mind, those models are very similar to each other. Okay, so if you are looking to obtain a mortgage down the road, try to steer yourself towards the FICO 2, 3, 4, 5 models. Don't get me wrong; the other ones are good. It's a good benchmark to work off of and a good way to get a feel for where your scores are, but they can differ. All right. Now, ideally, we want to try to get your credit scores up to that 600 to 640 range. That's my goal. Like I said, most creditors report to only one or two of the three credit bureaus. And what we want to do is we want to look for your middle credit score. Now, the mortgage world, for the most part, looks at your middle credit score. There are some programs where they can do averages and blend them and things like that. But most of the down payment assistance programs and grants that I help connect people with, they just look at the middle score. So they do not average them, okay? Now, with that being said, what goes into a credit score? Now, 35% of what goes into a credit score is based off your payment history. So if you've had any late payments in the last 12 months, that's what really hits the hardest. So try not to do that. A lot of the programs I connect people with, they really frown on any late payments within the last 12 months. If you do happen to have a creditor that you've been with for a while, never hurts to call if you've got a late payment, okay? They do courtesy adjustments on your credit if you have an isolated 30-day late, okay? So it's not uncommon to, call a bank or call a automotive lender and just say, hey, I didn't realize it. I had a late 6 months ago on my car or credit card. Can you please do a one-time adjustment and remove that for me? Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Always be polite. We don't need them to put anything in the notes that say anything other than, you did request it. Now, a lot of times it depends on who's on the other end of the phone. So I always tell people, try to kill people with kindness and politeness. If you don't get the answer you want, respectfully say, okay, I thank you. I appreciate you checking. And then maybe call back next month and try it again. Sometimes it's a function of who you get on the other line. Also, you can ask, thank you for your help, but can I please speak with a supervisor? Okay. Those supervisors many times can make a bigger difference. So one thing I like to tell people is do not pay off collection accounts. A little off the payment history, but I'm going to say this a few times today. Collection account payments, if they are over 2 years old, please do not pay them. Okay, this is where I find people get tripped up a lot. So 35% of what goes into your credit score is based on your payment history. 30% goes into your credit utilization. And what that is, utilization is just how much you owe on the credit card versus what the limit is. So if you have a $500 credit card limit, and you have a $250 balance on it, that's a 50% utilization. So if you can keep your utilization below 30%, you're typically going to get the best lift in your scores. Right now, I'm finding that people are getting big lifts from credit utilization manipulation. So if you have a credit card with a $500 limit and a $500 balance, and you pay that down below 30%, 2 years ago, I would tell people you get a 20-point lift out of that. Lately, I'm starting to see 30 to 40-point lifts in credit scores from that maneuver. Reason being, and this is just my personal belief system, my personal belief is that what's happening is the credit industry the algorithms are becoming more real time. And if you're able to pay your credit card balances down in an environment where credit card balance utilization is increasing, you're getting a better lift out of it. That's just my opinion. But I'm seeing that on a more routine basis over the past 60 to 90 days. So credit utilization, big. And if you are paying your balances down, I'm finding if you pay them down and don't pay them down to zero, leave a few dollars on it. Leave a $10 balance on your credit cards. You're getting a little bit higher lift from that as well, too. The third thing that we have some control over is the length of credit history. Okay, so if you've got some old accounts out there, do not close them. Closing your accounts can negatively adjust your credit if you have a thin credit profile. And a thin credit profile means if you only have 3, 4, 5 lines of credit or zero, if you lose one, your credit scores could go down. So I had a young lady that had an auto loan a couple of months ago. She only had an auto loan and a credit card. She thought she was doing herself a favor by paying that auto loan off early. It didn't work out that way. She paid the auto loan off and she lost that trade line. As a result, her credit score went down 20 points by paying it off early because she lost that trade line. So please do not do that. Okay. So if you have an old account, you don't know what it is, hey, as long as it's not showing negatively, don't pay it off. Don't call them up. Don't close it out. Frequency of new credit accounts for 10%. So try not to open new. So in other words, more often than not, it's going to adversely affect you by 10% on that. Now, types of credit used, that can actually get you a boost. Sometimes during my credit tools, I often preach diversity. So if you have credit cards, auto loans, personal lines of credit, that's diversity. Okay. If you have 10 credit cards, doesn't necessarily help you, but the diversity for an auto loan to a credit card to a personal loan, that can give you a little bit of a boost there. So, all right. Next thing I want to talk about is how to handle some of the big things that tend to be tripping people up lately. Those things: student loans, repossessions, bankruptcies, and collections. Let's start off with student loans. Now, student loans are out of deferment. If you have student loans sitting out there, you need to address them. You need to be proactive, get some payment arrangements on them. If they're deferred because you are in school, if we're looking to purchase a home, we do need to pull those out of deferment. So it's sometimes wise to get ahead of this and just go out and get an income-based repayment plan. If you do get an income-based repayment plan, do not settle for zero. If you have a zero, and what they do is they sometimes look at your credit and go, oh, your income's low enough, you don't have to pay us anything, it's zero. That's not wise on two fronts. Number one, the mortgage world and credit world does not like it because there will be a day where you're going to have to start paying that back. And number two, interest keeps accruing. So your balances just keep going up. So you're better getting an income-based repayment plan, maybe paying $10, $20 a month for two reasons. One, we're only going to count that amount against you on a lot of the programs that I connect people with. And number two, you're going to keep that interest from accruing over time. Can't tell you how many people that I talk to that look at their student loans and are shocked when they owe double what they originally took out because the interest calculator just keeps ticking. And I find that that's one thing, they just don't educate people, in my opinion, well enough on how the interest clock works and how quickly these things can spiral out of control. But we'll save that for another time. So we talked about deferment. If your loans are in forbearance, not too many of those, they are coming out of forbearance. They are forcing repayment on those. So like I said, better to get in front of those. If your loans are in default, not such a bad thing, okay? There are ways for us. So if you have student loans showing up as a default on your credit, that's very easy to spin around. So a lot of the student loan servicing companies will change your loan from being in default to being paid as agreed after 90 days or 3 payments. So if you call your student loan company up, say, hey, I didn't realize my student loans were in default, want to start making payment arrangements. Can we do an income-based? However you decide to do it. Once you make 3 payments, these student loan servicing companies will flip it from being in default to paid as agreed. So I had someone a few months ago, their credit scores were in the 550s. After 3 months of payments, it flipped over to being paid as agreed. Their score shot up 100 points because it went from a negative to a positive. Okay, so very easy to turn those around after 90 days. You just have to make the phone calls. Now, as far as repossessions, oh, by the way, if you have any questions as I'm chugging along here, please do not hesitate to put those in the chat box. Okay. And before I forget, because I get on a roll here and start turning into a chatty Cathy, let me give you a link to my calendar. This is a link to my calendar, nodownpayment.org/book. This is where you can book a call. Let me enter that out get this out on the YouTube and Facebook as well. There you go. Okay. So any questions, fire away in the chat box. I'll try to get those as we go. All right. Next thing on our list, repossessions. Okay. So repossessions. Several times a month, I run across people that had the misfortune of having a car repossessed, whether you bought them on a B lot and whether the car failed and had to be turned back in. There's a multitude of reasons. Co-signers. I find there's a lot of kind-hearted people I work with that co-sign for friends or family members that default on it, and they'll have repossessions on there. So there's a few different ways to handle it. If it's recent, sometimes it's better served to actually it's actually better served to call the repossession company and reestablish payments if you can. We can actually go through, get you approved, get you into the down payment assistance programs, and then what you decide to do afterwards, that's up to you. If possible, you can repay them. It really depends on who the creditor is. I would encourage anybody that has a repossession to reach out to me, because it really depends on who the creditor is with regards to how to handle things. I find that different creditors are a little bit more tenacious than others. So that's something I always say, schedule a call. Now, if you have the misfortune of being in a bankruptcy or just exiting a bankruptcy, there are ways to get people approved. So if you did a Chapter 7 is when you wipe the slate clean, okay? We have to wait for 2 years after the discharge date to do anything, but we want to start rebuilding your credit right after the bankruptcy, okay? So as soon as your bankruptcy is discharged, we want to start establishing secured credit cards, secured loans. It's very, very easy to get a quick spike in your credit score after a bankruptcy with the right tools, okay? And it's also very important to not have any late payments after a bankruptcy. Okay. The algorithms, like I said earlier, that create your credit score are getting very smart. They know that if you've had a bankruptcy, you just got to pass. So if you have a late payment, they're going to hit you a lot harder because they know that you just got that pass. So it's very important that we keep your credit history clean after those bankruptcies. If you go to a Chapter 13, and that's a reorganization, that's where the bankruptcy courts put you over to a trustee. They take all your debts, put them together, negotiate the balances down. Now, if you're in a Chapter 13, you actually can purchase a house. We just have to have 12 payments made on time to the trustee and get the trustee's approval. Okay? Never been slowed down by trustees, but I've always gotten them through. Okay? And then after you pay off your Chapter 13, you do have to wait 2 years. Okay? There is some chatter that they are changing that guideline, but haven't heard anything officially yet. So there are tools and ways to get things done if you've been tripped up with a bankruptcy in the past couple of years. With regards to collection accounts, okay, this is what I find trips up most people. With the collection accounts, if the collections are over 2 years old, I always tell people, just leave them alone. Let sleeping dogs lie. If the lender, if we're going for a mortgage, if your lender requires you to pay off any old collections, we can do that, but we want to do it after they issue the approval. So we want your approval subject to you paying these debts off. So what happens sometimes with these collection accounts, this is only if it's over 2 years old. If you pay an old collection account, it's going to show up next month as collection paid, maybe October 2025, okay? That's going to bring your credit score down. We do not want that. So leave that alone. Let's let the underwriter, the person that approves your loan, dictate to us to pay it off. Then we come from a position of strength where we can negotiate, okay? We'll already have your credit score locked in, and then we'll have your loan approved. So if your score goes down in a couple of months, we don't care. We've got your loan approved. Now, if your collections are less than 2 years, I always tell people the medical stuff, leave it alone. If your collections are 1 to 2 years old, we may want to run those through a simulator. Now, that simulator is going to tell us what to do. If your collections are less than a year old, we probably want to address those on a case-by-case basis. Now, that I would suggest scheduling a call for me and take that booking link and reach out to me. I'll be happy to go over those collections with you. All right. Next thing. My steps. These are my 60-day steps to get a 60-point lift in your credit score. Number one, we want to order your credit report. For that, we want to go to annualcreditreport.com. They will give you a free copy. It'd be nice if you were able to get all 3 FICO credit scores. Not always perfect. Don't need to do that. But let's start with your free annual credit report. From there, we want to go to the free websites and get your credit scores and try to isolate which one is your middle credit score and your highest credit score. Okay, the lowest one, not that we don't care about it, but it's just not very important to us. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at your high credit score. If that's in the area where we need it to be, we're not going to worry about it. Your middle score, that's what we're focusing on. Okay, if we need to get your middle and your high both up, then that's certainly the credit bureaus that we want to focus on. So if, let's just say it's Equifax and TransUnion, boom, we'll focus just on those two. Okay, your middle and your high credit scores. We're going to look at those credit reports and try to isolate things that are going to give us a quick lift. Okay, so we want to understand those credit profiles and what's driving those scores down. Is it late payments? Are they collection accounts? Are they repossessions? Whatever it is, we need to address those things. Okay, so we want to analyze those trade lines, what's driving those scores down, and see if there's any way to possibly combat that or manipulate it. Now, ideally, we need to have at least 2 or 3 trade lines. And a trade line is just a line of credit on your credit report. Now, those 2 or 3 trade lines need to be over all three credit bureaus. Okay, so they can be old ones, new ones, and even alternative trade lines. Now, alternative trade lines are just things that don't show up on your credit report, and we can add. I'm going to go over those in a few minutes. Okay. Now, if your scores are too low, we might want to run your credit through a credit simulator just to get a feel for what might boost your credit. A lot of times we can tell. Okay, I can tell right now over the phone if you just describe it to me. Whether we need to open up a new secured card, open up a secured loan, there are a lot of tools out there. Okay, if we need to add things, I'm going to go over different types of secured loans and secured cards in a moment. Or sometimes we can actually add an authorized user, add you to a friend or family member's credit cards to get a quick bounce too. If your credit scores are too low, we may want to start challenging things on your credit and disputing things to try and get your scores up as well too. So those are the things that I look at to get a quick spike in your credit score, part of my 60 steps and 60 points in 60 days mindset. Here are the things that we do want to do. Like I said, we want to go out and get your free credit report at freeannualcreditreport.com. We also want to subscribe to some of the free credit reporting tools out there. Credit Karma is great. Okay, I know a lot of people in the mortgage world, dog it and don't like it, but hey, it's free and it gives you access to TransUnion and Equifax. I find that you probably want to go out to Experian and pick up the Experian one as well too. So Credit Karma and Experian ideal. If you can't get into those, there are some other places like Credit Sesame. If you are looking for someone to pull your mortgage credit report, I do have lenders that I work with that would be happy to do that. And they can run it through a simulator for you so you can do some of this heavy lifting and be more of a sharpshooter and know exactly what to do. Okay. Now, sometimes you can actually, if you have a credit card maxed out, so you got a credit card that's $500 limit, you owe $500. Sometimes you can make a phone call and say, hey, I've been with you 5 years. Can I get an increase? Suppose you get that $500 limit increased to $1,500. Now you're at 30% utilization. Your scores are going to shoot up. You can also pay down those credit card balances. If it's $500 balance, $500 limit, boom, pay it down to $150. You'll see your scores shoot up. Many cases, I'm finding lately 30, 40 points. Also, authorized users. Now, if you have a friend or family member, and I understand this is not always an easy conversation, but you can tell a friend or family member or ask them, hey, I'm in the process of getting approved for a mortgage. I'm one trade line short. I don't need any money. I just was hoping that maybe you can add me as an authorized user on a credit card. For them, it's just picking up the phone and calling. I don't need the credit card, don't need any money, just add me as an authorized user, but make sure that the card's in good standing, low balance, things like that. So I'll go over a little bit more details on that in a moment. If we need to open up secured cards or secured loans, we want to do those as soon as possible. If we need to build credit, so let's say, for example, you go on Credit Karma or Credit Sesame, it says you've got no credit out there. It happens. We can build alternative trade lines. I do this all the time. So if you've got subscriptions you pay on a monthly basis, be it your cell phone bill, car insurance, your rent, a lot of different things out there. I'll go through a list in just a few moments. We can get those items added to your credit report, provided they've been paid. We can get them reported, even if you're not paid on time, but we don't want to do that. Anything that you've paid on time, we can get added or would like to get added to your credit report. So, for example, had someone a few months ago. He was a no credit score. He was a gamer. He had several gaming subscriptions automatically deducted from his checking account. We just got his bank statements for the past 12 months, and they added those to his credit report. PlayStation, I think one was like World of Warcraft subscription, Xbox, things like that. $9.95 a month, every month, automatically taken out of his account. We got it added to his credit, and we were able to get him approved. Now, any collections over $2,000, we want to possibly entertain getting some type of payment arrangements with those collection companies before we apply for a loan. Now, the things that we don't want to do, we don't want to apply for new credit, okay? Those inquiries aren't going to do us any good unless we know they're going to be issued, and there's really no guarantee. So if you see on some of the free websites like Credit Karma, oh, you've got an 80% chance to get approved for this card, don't do it, okay? If it's a secured card, fine. You're going to get approved for those. If it's unsecured, we're rolling the dice, and we don't need any setbacks, because a lot of the programs that I help connect people with, those are pass fails. In other words, if your score's 600, you're in. 599, you're out. So we don't want to lose 5 points on a credit inquiry by taking a chance on applying for something that we may not get. Okay? Don't blindly pay off your collection accounts. If it's over 2 years old, leave it alone. We went through that earlier. Less than 2 years, case by case. Medicals, anything below $500 should not plague into your credit scores and shouldn't be reported right now. If it's a medical over 500, you know what? Still leave it alone. We'll deal with that. Medical collections are very forgiving right now. Anything that's 1 to 2 years old, we'll run that through a simulator just to figure out what's the best direction to go. If the collection accounts are less than a year old, then we want to deal with those on a case-by-case basis too. If it's brand new, we might want to pay it off. Okay. If it's 6 months or older, we'll have to deal with depending upon what it is. Okay. Paying a collection off that's brand new could actually rebound your scores a little bit. Don't pay your credit card balances off. Pay them down below 30%, but leave a balance on it. Don't pay it off to zero if you have that ability. Don't pay off any loans, and don't become an authorized user on any new account or an account with late payments or that's maxed out, that has a high utilization. And if there's anything you learned from today, please do not ever employ any type of debt consolidation services. Okay, they are surfacing now because credit scores are dropping. Debt consolidation services are not consultants. They're not your friends. They are there to make money. And what they do is they actually take all your debts, put them all together, and say, we're going to put your debts together. We're going to negotiate those balances down. That's not, do they do that? Yes, but they wreck everything as they're doing it. So what happens is they'll put all your debts together, and then you start making your payments to the debt consolidation company. Okay. So for the first 6 months, they collect all the money that you're sending. That's their fee. They get paid up front. And by the time your creditors are just about to threaten to sue you, that's when they might start getting paid from the debt consolidations companies. Okay? They won't call you, the creditors. They'll just go, okay, because the debt consolidation companies will tell them and put them on notice. If you are in that position where you need to do that, you're better off doing bankruptcy, in my personal opinion. What happens is anytime your credit's pulled, it will show up that you are in debt consolidation. All lenders and creditors consider that bankruptcy. So without the bankruptcy court protection. So if you are at that stage, you're not going to get financed. So you might as well have the bankruptcy court protection. And then what they do, the trustees will negotiate the balances down. Okay, your attorneys and the trustees, they will negotiate the creditors, negotiate your balances down, and then you make your payments to the trustees. That's on a Chapter 13. Who knows? If you're in that bad of shape, you might as well do a Chapter 7 and wipe the slate clean. If you ever have the option between the two of them, always go with a Chapter 7. Okay. I know it may be, I'm the tail end of the baby boomers. We were raised, the honorable thing is to pay back your creditors. Hogwash. Okay. Treat your personal life like a business. Okay. If a business can reorganize, so can your personal. Okay. Try to do that Chapter 7. It's a much easier road. Okay. And we can help you build credit right away after a Chapter 7. Okay. Next thing. Credit building tools. Okay, here are the different tools that I recommend. Number one, secured credit card. Go out to Credit Karma. Capital One offers a good one. Give them $300. They're going to send you a credit card with a $300 balance. Important that you use it right away. The quicker you use it, the quicker they're going to get set up on your credit report. Or the quicker they'll report it to the credit bureaus where it'll pop up on your credit report. You should get a good 20 to 30 point lift out of that in the first 30 to 60 days. Okay. Try to keep that balance below 30% if you can, or pay down immediately to a small balance. Number two, secured loans. These are one of the best tools out there. Okay. I bank with a local credit union called Michigan First Credit Union, and there are credit unions all over the country that offer these tools. Secured loans work like this. You go to your credit union. You give them $500. In many cases, it might be $525. Okay. They might charge $25 to set this up. So the $25 is gone. They take the $500 and they put it in a savings account and lock it down so you can't touch it. Okay. If you go into your bank accounts online, a lot of times it's going to show you've got that $500 in savings. But like I said, you can't withdraw it. They're going to give you a loan for $500 right away. So they're going to put $500 in your checking account. That is secured by that loan, that in your savings. So it's going to show that you got $1,000, but you can only get the $500 in your checking. Now you're going to pay off that secured loan over 6 months. $80-something a month is probably going to come out of your checking account to pay that loan off. But what's nice, if it's structured as a credit building secured loan, they will report this to all three credit bureaus, and it's reported as a personal secured line of credit. So a personal loan is one of the hardest things to get. So this will give you a good 40 to 60 point lift in your credit scores alone. It takes a little bit longer. It takes 45 to 90 days, but your scores are going to skyrocket from this one maneuver. The downside with this is that after 6 months, when the loan's paid off, your scores can come down a little bit. So you might have to do it again. Okay. One of the best tools out there, in my opinion, secured loan. Authorized users. We talked about this earlier. It works about 90% of the time. Make sure it is a seasoned old account, has low balances, low utilization, and good payment history. We talked about that earlier. Alternative trade lines. Now, alternative trade lines are things that you are paying that may not show up on your credit. But if we can document these payments over a 12-month history, we can get it added to your credit. It's a little bit of work, but a lot of the lenders I work with can do this for you. We can go to third-party credit aggregators and furnish your bank statements to them showing these are paid, and or through whatever debit card you're using, we can, as long as we can show that you've paid these on time for 12 months, hey, why not get them added to your credit report to create those trade lines that we might need? We can use rent, auto insurance, a PO box payment, storage unit payments, cable bill, cell phone bill, renter's insurance, utility bills, monthly subscriptions, Netflix, gaming, gym memberships, all kinds of, as long as we show you're making those payments, we can get it added to your credit. Next thing, credit monitoring services. Okay. I always tell people Credit Karma, it's free. If you don't have a Credit Karma account and go out there, they're going to try to sell you stuff as you go in there. Just keep saying no, 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 and eventually you'll get to the free account. Okay. Credit Karma is good because it will tell you what's on your Equifax and your TransUnion, two of the three credit bureaus. The credit score that they give you isn't the FICO 2, 3, 4, 5 scoring model, but it's a good alternative. Okay. They use the Vantage score. Just a different algorithm, different scoring models, but a good baseline to work off. Also, try to pick up the Experian account. Go to Experian.com. If you get that account and the Credit Karma, you've got all three bureaus. We can get a good feel for free of where your credit is and how we can manipulate it. So just schedule that call with me once you get into both of these. Happy to walk through it with you and give you my input. Okay. And by the way, those calls with me, I don't charge for those. Those are free. I enjoy helping people sort through this stuff. It's not rocket science, okay? And many times it's a quick fix. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, whatever. It could be 2-3 months, or sometimes I get, hey, John, I talked to you 2-3 years ago. It took me a while to get things turned around and get my credit, but what you said worked, and my score is now in the strike zone. Can you help me? All the time. I enjoy doing it. So take me up. There's no sense paying some of these companies out there to do that. So I'm actually just finishing up writing my book on credit repair and how to get your credit scores up in a short period of time. I hope to have that out by the end of the month. Next thing I want to talk about, credit restoration services. Okay. Just like credit consolidation services, I'm not a big fan of these restoration services. You're not hearing them nearly as much as you used to. And the reason is they're not as effective as they used to be. Okay. A lot of the credit companies are responding aggressively to companies like Lexington Law, National Credit Care, which I think is actually rebranded because they were going through some hurdles. But these companies are charging a lot of money. They charge anywhere from $100 to $200 a month. I just had somebody at Lexington Law told me they were paying $190 a month for the past year, and it worked for the first couple of months, and that was it. So, and unfortunately, that's kind of what it is. These are automated, set it and forget it type of things. And I don't think that anybody wants to overpay for this stuff. You can do a lot of this stuff on your own. Okay. What they do or try to do, they used to take advantage of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the timing loophole where the creditors only had 30 days to respond to certain challenges on your credit report. Well, with all the technology advances and artificial intelligence, the credit bureaus and the companies are responding within 30 days routinely. And a lot of times they are spotting the letters that are sent on behalf of you by these credit restoration companies as frivolous. So when they receive these letters, they go, this is like one of 1,000 other letters we've received. We don't believe that it's the consumer sending this. And as a result, they toss them aside or respond to it as frivolous. And under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the credit repair or credit companies are allowed to discard frivolous requests. So that being the case, they don't work very well. They may work 1 or 2 months, okay, and then that's about it. I wouldn't suggest anybody stay in this for the long haul. Usually, you can take advantage of the Fair Credit Reporting Act by furnishing those letters on your own. And if anybody needs help on that, let me know. Like I said, my book is out for editing right now, and I'd be happy to make a copy of that available to anybody that needs it. So hope to have it up on Amazon shortly, but I'll be offering it to people that go to my webinars free of charge. So, because I'm a big believer that people are overpaying by using these services, and they can do a lot of it on their own. There's actually, you can go out to some of the free sites and dispute your credit too. I'm not a big fan of that. For example, if you go out to Credit Karma, you can actually dispute accounts on your Credit Karma. I'm not a huge fan of that because if you read the details on it, sometimes you are giving up your rights after the first request to get it corrected to settle with whatever they decide to do. So the details aren't in your favor on that. Now, if you're going to go out there and dispute incorrect items, that's one thing, okay? Because chances are those will be taken off. But if you're going to dispute correct items or what might possibly be correct, you are giving up your rights once you do it digitally, okay? So sometimes it's better to do it the old-fashioned way and mail letters in. So, but set up a call with me. I'm happy to learn your situation and coach you on that front. All right. Next thing, we are approaching the top of the hour. Where do we go from here? I always tell people, schedule a call with me. You've got my call, my link to my calendar there. I'm also going to give you a link to my next webinar. Let's do this. Let's go here. And that, oops. Okay. There you go. No down payment required.org. Go to this website. Actually, let's see here. While I'm doing this, any questions, please feel free, enter them in the chat box. There it is. There you go. Okay, somebody was asking for a slide. So not sure which slide you wanted me to enter there, but always, if you want a replay of this, you can actually go out. It's being streamed on YouTube and streamed on Facebook. And as a result, I will... you can see what's out. You can replay it there. So if you could let me know which slide you're referring to. This isn't necessarily a slide. This is actually an active thing. I don't necessarily have the slides printed out. So it's actually a live active document. I could probably do a screenshot if I knew which one you were referring to. But you can also go out to my... there we go. Okay, and there's a link to the webinar. All right. Good. Any questions out there? Any additional questions I should ask? Okay, if any of you would like to reach out to me, I will give you my cell phone number, 248-252-7283 is my direct contact number. Put that in the other chat box, 248-252-7283. Keep in mind, I am a self-professed phone jockey. I am on the phone all day. So if I don't answer your call, please leave a message, or better yet, text me, and I'll return your call in between calls. I have calls scheduled throughout the day, and it's not uncommon for people's schedules to get interrupted and not being able to hold calls. So I am always able to squeeze people in and always return my phone calls. It's actually a pet peeve of mine when people don't return my calls, so I make it a point to return everybody's call by the end of the day. So, and if it's after, 6 o'clock in the evening, certainly the next day. So, but you can always text me, and then if I'm available, I try to return those calls as soon as possible. So, Saturday morning, I hope everybody is got some fun things planned for today. I'm in southeastern Michigan. Little chilly today. Looks like mid 60s is a high, but still looks like it's going to be a sunny day. So embrace the weather while we can. So any questions, never hesitate to reach out to me. Like I said, all of my webinars do get pushed out to YouTube Live and Facebook. So you can catch me there. I do the webinars. I've got one coming up next Wednesday. The top ways to purchase using the down payment assistance programs and grants. If you want to see what programs and grants are actually available out there, our app that we've developed, the No Down Payment app, on the you can actually download it on the Google Play Store or Apple Store, is doing very well. And the reason I mentioned that, here you go. That is, you can enter a property address there, enter your details. You'll see how many programs you qualify. Click Get More, send your detail or your information to us, and you'll be emailed a link of all the programs you qualify for and the amounts. Any of you in southeastern Michigan, there is a program. It's actually, if you live in the city of Detroit, there is funding becoming available, I believe, next month, if rumors are any indication, that will be very lenient on credit. Okay, this is a $25,000 grant program. And for any of you across the country, there are grant programs out there that are extremely flexible on credit. If your credit scores are above 520, 540, you're in. Okay, we just have to find those types of grant programs. They're kind of a needle in a haystack, but I'm used to searching for those needles, especially with our No Down Payment app. And, oh, yes, I will certainly get that out there in the, let me get that out there on the other platforms. There you go. Okay. All right. Those are the best tools I've got right now. Anybody looking for links to my book, I hope to have those out shortly. So, please hit me up on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing our webinar, How to Connect with Down Payment Assistance and Grant Programs Across the Country, how to locate these different programs, what are the qualifications for the programs, how to get approved, and how to structure these transactions to get in with just a few $1,000s out of pocket. And most importantly, how to align yourselves with professionals that can help you every step of the way. So hit me up there on Wednesday. If you need a link to that webinar, just reach out. Happy to provide it to you. So thank you all for attending. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hope our paths cross soon. Thanks again. Goodbye, everyone.